we're gonna talk. Hey, I see something.
All right.
Hey guys, welcome to the Green Room, and by the way, Happy New Year. It's our first Green Room of the year, and I'm excited to help you in your finances and reduce confusion because I have with me Tim and
Tim.
Okay, so
Tims.
that's not confusing at all, but we're gonna have a good time. Tim Hastings, obviously our executive pastor and over small groups. And then Tim Frump is actually joining us today, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about Financial Peace University and the money management ministry. So I just finished this message talking about balance. I've never done this one before. I've done a lot of finance messages, but I haven't done a balance message. It's kind of just an intro to help people to see that. But I felt like that the strongest point I wanted to get across had to do with the idea of the harvest, the law of the harvest, and that everybody wants instant, an instant quick fix. Are you seeing any of this? How does this play out when I know you're doing financial peace, you're doing money management. You see a lot of folks that'll come and say, I have a question or I have an issue or I have, suggestion that I need on my finance. I feel like a lot of times pastoral, I'm seeing folks that, it's sort of like a 10 or 12 or 20 year issue that they want to fix in a couple of days. And I struggle with that. I don't know how to address it. Do you see a lot of that in FPU? Or?
Actually, we do, and it's typical of today's society. Today's society wants things very quickly, and we're a throwaway society, quite frankly. And so we do see people that come to Financial Peace University, and they'd like to be able to flip a switch and solve their problems.
Yeah. I think that's a difficulty. I know when I took Financial Peace University the first time, I think when we were at Dixon Road location. So we're talking probably 2001-ish time frame. And I didn't like the pay. It was so expensive. And I was like, oh my gosh, Eastern Shore, people can't afford this. And I'm not even kidding. We spent like 5 years sampling, surveying every financial training course in the whole country we could find to, that would be more reasonable in cost. And can I just say, this is not a paid advertisement. Everyone else was boring. I couldn't get people to tune in and watch and go through it. And I finally gave up and I went back to Dave, because at the end of the day, you need somebody that's kind of, that's energetic, because we were talking about money. And sorry, I know you work in that area, but it's like people just go to sleep when you start talking about finance. But Dave keeps it alive, he keeps it real, but he also has that way of kind of like putting it in your face, and it's so true. But you laugh, and then you kind of go, I laugh, and then it hurts, and I need that. But for me, there's nobody else out there that comes close in training, and so I would say bite the bullet, go to FPU. If you, does he still do this? A lot of times we used to say, if you can't get your money back in the savings that you're going to implement over the next several months, we'll give you your money back. We used to tell people that. I don't know if he still does that, but.
Yeah, so Dave Ramsey of Ramsey Solutions designed the Financial Peace University course, and it's a fantastic course. And it cost about $100 to buy a kit. And Dave will lead you through Financial Peace University, will lead you through how to develop the disciplines to change your financial outlook.
One of the things I appreciate you mentioning today in the message is once you buy a kit, you can jump back in any future sessions, because we all need to continue to, it tends to slip in various areas we need to tune up. So it's kind of cool that, we start on something today, we bought the kit, and we can jump into a future session. Are you seeing a lot of folks do that?
We do. We see people that have taken Financial Peace University 5 to 7 years ago, and they come back for a refresher. So the only financial outlay you will ever have with Financial Peace University is that initial $100 roughly to buy the kit. That's the only financial outlay you'll ever have.
A lot of the materials are online now. Even when I took it, there was none of that. None of that existed. It was all hard copy kind of stuff, but and it was 13 weeks, and I was, 13 weeks, holy smokes. And how long does it take to do Financial Peace now?
Well, my wife Kaylee and I do the Sunday sessions, and we actually cover 2 chapters on each Sunday. So we begin at 1:30. We conclude by 5:30. It's very fast. You know, we'll be complete in a 4.5-week period.
Wow.
But still, you can
Wow.
cover
So that's
a lot
third.
of.
So
Yes.
you cut it down to a third, but it's intense. There's a lot of material there.
Yes.
I think people, you know, I know for me, people don't realize it's kind of like the class seminars or the basis that we do. You know, there's a lot of information. People go, oh my gosh, there's so much. Well, I don't expect you're going to be able to implement everything day one. If you run the bases at Oak Ridge and go first, second, third, home, if you run the bases in a few months, you're not a grown-up Christian yet. Yes, it's not instantaneous maturity. And I think in the Financial Peace University, what I noticed is that I kind of checked the first time I took it. I kind of checked out after a certain module because I was like, oh my gosh, that's so advanced. I don't even have $1,000. And say, you know, I need to start back here in baby steps. So, but he takes you all the way from like 0 all the way up. So, you know, I think that's really cool that you're able to do that in a shorter period of time.
Well, and the great thing about the online resources that you mentioned, they're available to you 24 hours a day, 365 days a year at your convenience. So you can re-watch the videos. There's all kinds of helpful budgeting resources. So that helps a lot, especially when you're going through the material so quickly.
So what do you think from, how long have you been teaching?
5 years.
Okay, 5 years. What are the top 3 or 4 issues? The top 3 or 4 that people are, when they come into FPU, what are you seeing? What are the top issues?
You know, people have a lot of issues, especially with credit card debt, and so they're so buried with that credit card debt, they think, I can never get out of this, and that's not true. I mean, we've seen people come into Financial Peace University that have 35 credit cards that are maxed out, and yeah, I'm not talking just
You meant
3
one
or
person,
4.
not of the whole class. The 35 in one,
One person, yes.
Yeah.
And so it is kind of frightening.
Does that feel a little almost, okay, the pastor in me is coming out. Isn't it a little immoral for someone to keep giving someone credit cards? I mean, holy smokes, how do you get 35? At some point, don't they see? Because when you run a report, like your credit score report, it shows how many open accounts you have, right?
Yes.
So there's a little immorality happening here, credit card companies. How in the world can you give somebody that many cards? I
And
don't
walk
understand.
across a college campus these days, you see lines of people giving away free T-shirts, Frisbees, whatever it is, to sign up for a credit card.
Yeah, that's
and so
crazy.
it's very easy to happen.
It's scary.
Predatory.
Let me say something a little controversial. Let me see how you feel about this. I know that the college debt is a major issue in our country right now, that kids are coming out of college with massive amounts of debt. The most common figure I saw was around 42 grand worth of debt. It's like an average for a college student today. And so a big political talking point now is debt forgiveness. That's a big deal we're hearing across the board. I have problems with that pastorally, based on the message today, because even if I forgive that debt, I haven't addressed the behaviors behind that. So I don't think that's a big fix or a big help. What would your thoughts be?
You know, personally, I have a real problem with a free college education. If you buy into something and if you invest in it, you take more ownership in it and you work harder for it. And a college education is very important. I fully agree with that. But there are ways that you can pay for it, do it more economically, more efficiently.
Yeah.
You know, we all want these college diplomas from Princeton University. Well, there are other ways that you can get it at Warwick College, as an example.
Absolutely.
That gives you a perfectly fine education at a much more economic price.
Yeah, I haven't found that college algebra substantially changed between Warwick and Salisbury University.
Yeah.
It still seems like it's still college algebra. So it does seem crazy. Why wouldn't we at least, at a minimum, I don't care if you're going to Princeton, I don't care if they gave you a scholarship. Why are we not doing the first 2 years in a community college context? I don't even understand that. I feel like it's more of like, oh, I want to be in the cultural thing and get away from mom and dad. And I think that's part of the trap. But I know it's probably not popular. I brought this up in the message. I'm just curious your thoughts. I didn't even know I was going to go there, to be completely honest. Socialism, communism, and the move in our country. I'm burdened. I'm burdened because it's catching ground, and you see even in the last elections that movement is becoming more popular with young folks, and I'm incredibly concerned myself over the ramifications. Socialism, does it work?
It never has. I mean, if you look at the history, socialism has never worked in any society for an extended period of time. So no, I'm not a believer in any way, shape, or form.
It's kind of surprising just seeing, you know, it's not like it's a theory that we can just sit around and debate in finance class. It's actually countries have implemented, they've really done this, and it's really ruined them. It's not like I have to learn this again, but it seems like those principles, I know it sounds all political, but those same exact principles of, I think, translate all the way down into individual effort and putting in hard work, and it pays off. And I think it cheapens it when we get stuff for free. I think it morally, it messes with our fabric of behavior sets.
You know, one of the things that's encouraging to me is I even see some of the Financial Peace University instructors went through the class themselves. And so now they've implemented this in their lives, and they want to help others walk through that same process. I was just talking to a couple that went through the other day, and $30,000 worth of student loan debt they paid down last year. So sometimes these numbers seem extraordinary.
Yeah.
You know, when you're walking in, and especially all the steps and everything, it can feel overwhelming. But I love how he calls them baby steps, because it's just like, take the first step, and that's why I wanted to mention earlier about you can jump back in a future session. So it's not going to be so overwhelming. Just work on a few things now, and you'll be surprised at what you can accomplish over time. So I'm sure you've seen stories like that in the classes.
Yeah, we've seen some incredible stories. Personally, I did not, these people weren't in our class, but we had a couple in Oak Ridge in a financial peace class that came to financial peace only to try to decide how they would distribute the money in a divorce.
Oh, wow.
And after they went through Financial Peace University, they changed their lifestyle and they stayed together.
Wow.
And so we've seen some amazing, incredible things where people have had just mountainous debt that you thought, I can never overcome this. And they've been able to do it. You know, Financial Peace University is really about learning disciplines. Some people come to the class and they think, well, I'm not intelligent enough. I can't do this. And that's far from the truth. In reality, 80% of being successful with your finances is discipline, changing behaviors. 20% is head knowledge. So I'm telling you, anybody can succeed at this if they're willing to put forth the effort.
I'm glad you said that, because it does seem like when you say something like, take a finance class, it's a little daunting. It's sort of like saying, hey, take economics at college. You're like, I'm not smart enough to do that. But you still have to manage your money. And so I love the fact that you're saying, you know, we do need some knowledge. There is some things, but it's mostly behaviors that we need to adjust and change. And so those baby steps, I really do believe you need to watch What About Bob before you go to Financial Peace, because you need to get that. You know,
Right at the front
very
door.
important. Yeah. What about Bob?
You know, you made me think about, I love that you brought that up, but you made me think about the intelligence piece, or they automatically dismiss themselves. And it was Dave Ramsey, I first heard this, and I can't remember if it was Financial Peace or it was one of his seminars. And he goes, you know, and he was using a car loan. He goes, you go to the car loan and, you know, they do the back and forth and that sort of thing. And then you get to the finance guy and you get ready to buy the car and they just hit you with all these questions and it's all this jargon that you don't understand. And he goes, I remember Dave, because, you know, Dave's very charismatic. Anyway, Dave goes, it's your money. You have them explain it to you so you do understand. Don't have them just speak over your head. So one of the things that's very important to him. So I know the course, he very much delivers the content in a way that you can digest. So that's a fundamental belief for him. And I just remember that really stuck out for me, was because sometimes we dismiss finances, and mathematics and that sort of thing. We go back to school and it's the algebra that we were talking about earlier where it was so confusing and we overwhelmed ourselves. That's not the way this course is delivered.
Yeah, it's right where you live.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you correlated this marriage and that transformation. When they addressed the finances, it addressed the family. And I shared on Facebook yesterday, I went to a grand opening for a tax business for someone who's here in the church. And her and another tax advisor were just talking and bantering. And they said, it's funny, when people bring us their W-2, all of their life comes with it.
Oh.
They sit down, they open up their finances, and then all of a sudden they start saying, well, yeah, that's because, well, my daughter is actually on drugs, and we had to do this, and my husband, well, he had an affair, and this is that. And they said, we end up becoming life counselors. We really just wanted to do your taxes, but you can't pull them apart because your life is connected with your money. And that was what I really wanted to communicate today, was this sense that listen, dear Christian, you cannot ignore your finances and grow your faith. It cannot be done. So some of us, the best thing we could do is stop ignoring it. I know it's daunting and scary, but let's take a positive action and do something. And I think taking Financial Peace University or a refresher is one of the best things you could possibly do. Did we have any questions from today? Anybody ask any questions we want to address?
We did. Let me say a thought with that. You're hitting these. Pastor Mark here on staff, he's our business pastor, and I remember him, we just went through the budget season, and one of the things he says is every number tells a story.
Yeah.
And you had me think about that, because it's a value statement, where your money's going. And so if you're just kind of dishing it out there, it really is a value statement. So really looking at those numbers and where it's going really does kind of speak a lot, like what you were saying with that tax advisor. This is your life, with what's down on paper. We did, one of the questions that did come in from the service today was, they have a student, they're in college, and they're trying to get them through college without any student loans, which is very, very cool. And they said, where does the Bible line up as far as, it was getting to a margin question. She's working all kinds of hours. It seems like she's frazzled, she's stressed out, but she's trying to do this so she doesn't have any loan. How does the Bible speak to that?
That's a fantastic question. I can only speak from personal experience, and I want to see what you would, how you would advise that. For me, what it meant for me personally when I was going through school was that I didn't feel obligated to follow the schedule the registrar gave me. So even though they said, hey, you can knock out college in 4 years if you take all this, I realized I wanted to finish it without debt. That meant working full time and then each semester paying for what I was going through. So I extended how long it took me. But I would say give yourself a break and realize that if college is important for the rest of your life, then give yourself a break and don't try to do it too fast. And give yourself some breathing room. I'll give you another suggestion. I took a year off when I finished college and was going into seminary. I took a year off just to take a breather and invest relationally with my wife and my family. And so I gave some space. And I would honestly say, give yourself some space and room for the margin. Don't follow the regimen of the rest. And that would be one suggestion.
Yeah, a few suggestions. First of all, we mentioned community college. Community colleges do a great job of educating people, and their costs are very marginal relative to universities or more name brand universities, if you will. Secondly, yes, you can work. You can work full time and still do college. So those are some suggestions. One thing I do want to share about Financial Peace University, Dave Ramsey does a fantastic job of bringing the Bible into the course study. And so there's many passages in the Bible that he brings in that it really drives home why I should be learning this, why I should be developing these disciplines. I was able to take a financial course many years ago that was not religion-based, if you will. It was a great course, but Financial Peace University really strikes home because it is Bible-based.
Yeah.
And so.
I would also say another thing to this student, kudos to you. I mean, that you're already breaking norms, and you're already saying, you know, I don't want to do it like the rest of the crowd. I really do want to be able to set myself up for success when I enter into my career. So kudos to you, and give yourself a little bit of a break, but also give yourself a little bit of, you know, kudos, because you're doing a good job. And I would say just the thought of the question is amazing.
Yeah.
Because it's not the norm. That's not the norm.
My wife and I were talking about this the other day, and we were talking about a younger couple who is, they're just getting ready to get married. They don't have a whole lot of money. He's working through college, and he should be getting his degree, and finances are tight. And I said to my wife, I said, you know what? I said, if they were to have the discipline to just get through the season, as I've talked to other couples that are further down in their marriage, they reflect back on the time when they didn't have a whole lot, but they were in the arena and they were struggling through that, and they were making ends meet, and they didn't incur a whole lot of debt, and it took them a little bit longer to get a home. You know, they reflect back on those early years as some of the best years of their lives because they were building in those disciplines. It was drawing them closer together relationally, but they were doing it the right way.
Yeah.
I like what you said earlier, where a lot of times our culture is pushing us to want something so quickly that we just feel like we can flip a switch and we have the big home and we have the nice car, but the debt just piles up and we don't have those disciplines, and we just never... relationships suffer as a result.
Dave talks about a multimillionaire, during the course, talks about a multimillionaire that he had a conversation with. And he said, what book or books did you read that really helped you from a financial standpoint? He said, Dave, I got to tell you, he said, there's one book. He said it was the most fantastic book I ever read. And so Dave said, well, I'm thinking it's the Bible, you know.
Yeah.
And so he says, okay, please tell me, what is this book? And he said, Dave, have you ever read The Tortoise and the Hare? And Dave's like, you got to be kidding me, The Tortoise and the Hare. And so he said, I thought about it for a long
That would be
time.
Aesop, friends.
And he said it finally drove home. He said, the tortoise wins.
That's right.
And if you are disciplined with your finances, you will win.
Slow and steady, Freddie. And I love what you shared. We grow strong in the struggle. And the same was true for Lisa and I in our earlier years. When it was harder, we were actually growing stronger in our relationship and in our discipline, and it really is. You need the struggle. You need it to grow strong. And you're not going to build those disciplines without it. Hey, we're going to wrap up, but you probably have some thoughts and questions. Here's what I want to throw for you as a group. Talk about if one of you have been through financial peace, talk about how that impacted your personal financial journey. And then maybe if you're really, really courageous, share which of the systems of finance are the most out of balance for you.
Yeah.
Which system? Is it saving? Is it spending? Is it giving? Is it planning? Is it budgeting? You know, what is it? And then next week I might reveal mine. Ooh.
Oh.
Hey, we'll catch you next time. God bless. We'll see you then.
See you guys.